Well, the most popular question that was voted for is basically making the point that women seem to be heavily involved in local campaigns, but that engagement just isn't translating at a parliamentary level, and they cite an example of a successful social media campaign. And so basically this person is asking, how do we take that local engagement up the chain, and is social media an important tool in being able to do that?
Look, I think social media certainly is an important enabler for anyone to participate in politics, but perhaps particularly women. I know as a young mother myself, it's very handy to be able to get on Facebook or Twitter when it suits you, when the baby's gone to sleep, for example, or, during dinner if you're lucky enough to have someone to cook for you, as I sometimes do. So I think that convenience factor is a really important aspect of why social media is helping women engage in politics. And I think also it's just, it's a way of building your confidence. You're putting your views out there, you're getting some feedback from other members of the Twitterati or Facebook users, and just learning about engaging with the public in that battlefield of ideas that is the political dialogue that we have on a daily basis. So I think it's an important enabler for women, given the convenience factor, and I think it's an important training ground for that exchange of ideas.
And just on the second half of that question, why do you think maybe that local energy sort of isn't making it all the way up into better representation in federal parliament?
Well, look, it's a pretty scary thing to run for office, and it certainly has been a boys' club until very recently. We're making some good inroads in getting some better numbers of female representatives, but we're still not equal yet. And perhaps there is still a perception out there that it's what the blokes do. Now, as I say, that's changing, and there's certainly a lot of younger women who are now representing their states and their local areas in Parliament, and that's wonderful, and I'm proud to be one of them. And we've got about 39% of senators who are women now, so we're doing a bit better in the Senate than we have in previous years. But look, I think it's a perception thing, and certainly there are some systemic barriers to participation that we can do better in dealing with. But I think that's what you asked me in question 2.
Question 2 has a look at basically the use of quotas or affirmative action, and they're asking, should we be using quotas or systems similar to quotas, or instead should we be identifying what is actually getting in the way of preventing women's elections to Parliament, and what else could be done to encourage women to get into Parliament, which you just partly addressed?
Look, we certainly need to look at the systemic barriers to participation of women in our federal Parliament and in all of our parliaments for that matter. And it's, as I say, it's something we're making inroads on. We're doing better, but there's still significant challenges in balancing work and family life. Now, that happens in a range of contexts. Women are making good developments in that regard, but I think still for Parliament it is hard to balance, and I've got a 2-year-old and I find it hard to balance. I'm just fortunate to have great support from my family to enable me to do this job. So I think we really need to look at better ways of our system supporting women to run for office, and whether that's better childcare arrangements, whether that's better tax availability so that you can employ a nanny if you can't rely on your family to do that, as not everyone is fortunate enough to be able to. It's looking at those reasons why women might be deterred from running for office and trying to address those. But I do also think that affirmative action is important, and we've done very well in that regard in the Greens. Of our 13 ever members of Parliament, 10 of those have been women, and of our 10 current members, 6 of them are women. So we're really proud to be on the right side of the ledger, in my view. But I think looking at our population makeup, there's more women than men in Australia, so we should have more women than men in Parliament. If it's a representative democracy, it should be genuinely representative, and I think that means we need vastly more women in our halls of Parliament across the country, not just here in Canberra.
And basically you're saying it shouldn't be one or the other, like either quotas or it should be you're saying you would be in favour of still having the use of quotas, but also taking other measures to make sure women can get more into Parliament.
Look, I think the quota debate is a bit of a nuanced one, because sometimes people might think, oh, I didn't get there on merit. I think anyone who gets this far has gotten there on merit, regardless of their gender. So I think we can have the debate about affirmative action and still make sure that we get selections made on merit. Women are meritorious. We have a huge amount to offer. And I think we offer a different approach to politics. Now, that's a bit of a gross generalisation, but I think our way of negotiating is more constructive than perhaps the adversarial manner that we see a bit more often from the blokes in Parliament.
Yep. Now, finally, the last question is very broad and open-ended, but it's basically just asking, why is gender so important? What exactly is it that women can bring to Parliament that men may not? And is that what we should be focusing on, or is it simply just that there should be equal representation?
Look, I think we need equal representation of men and women in Parliament because we have a representative democracy and we need to reflect the makeup of Australia's population. In that same realm, we also need more multiculturalism in Parliament. We need more young people in Parliament. We need more gay people in Parliament. We should be a representative place. That is our job. But certainly on the gender issue, we absolutely need to do better. But we've got some great role models already. We've got our Governor-General, who's a woman. We've got our Prime Minister, who's a woman. And I'm from Queensland, where we have our Governor, who's a woman, and our Premier, who's a woman. So we're already seeing those people give us a wonderful example to all young women out there that you can do this. This is a viable option for you. And I'm encouraged by that. And in my daily work, I like to hope that I can be a bit of an inspiration for certainly young Queensland women, if not young women across Australia, along with my colleague Senator Hanson-Young, who's also a young mother. She's a bit younger than me, but I'm still young. So, look, we're doing well, but I think we've got a little bit of a way to go, and it's just important that women in Parliament set that example and try to demonstrate that, look, it can be done. Sure, it's hard, but it's important that it be done because, as I said earlier, we bring a different way of doing politics. I really think that women are more constructive, more open to negotiation, less egotistical, if I can be so bold. I think we just get down to the nuts and bolts and, we don't sweat the small stuff so much. And I think that's a really more productive way of working when it comes to negotiating this country's laws, rather than the adversarial approach that we see in the chamber. And certainly there's a lot of insults thrown in the chamber, and some of them are by the women, but a lot of them are by the men. I think we just bring a more constructive approach. We don't let our egos get in the way. We just want some good outcomes, and I think we need more of that.
Yep, great. Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Yeah.